is the land around your town like? Is it wide and flat? Does it have rolling hills or steep mountains? Land has many different shapes. A natural land shape or feature is called a landform. When you describe the landforms around your town, you're describing the area's topography. Topography is all the kinds of landforms in a certain area. Look at the pictures below. How would you describe the topography of the two areas? Both areas have mountains. A mountain is a landform that is much higher than the surrounding land. Often, mountains occur in groups called ranges. Mountain ranges can be very different from each other. The Rocky Mountains, for example, form tall, jagged peaks that rise thousands of feet above the surrounding land. The Appalachian Mountains are lower and more rounded. They are still thousands of feet high, but much lower than the Rocky Mountains. So, although these two areas have similar landforms, mountains, their topographies are very different. The topography of volcanic areas differs in another way. Volcanoes usually occur as individual mountains, not in ranges. They may have steep sides or rounded slopes. Hills are landforms that are like mountains, but not as high. Most have rounded slopes. Not all landforms have slopes. A plain is a large, flat landform with little relief. Relief is the difference in elevation between high and low places. In the middle of the United States is a very large plain known as the Great Plains. Plains form in different ways, but all plains have the same topography. Focus skill. Main idea and details. List details that describe mountains, hills, and plains. The jagged peaks of the Rocky Mountains are many thousands of feet higher than the surrounding land. The Appalachians are mountains too, but their peaks are lower and more rounded than the peaks of the Rockies. Georgia's coastal plain covers much of the state. Because plains are flat, they are often good farming areas. Hills are lower than mountains and have gentle slopes. Brasstown Bald is the highest point in Georgia. It measures over 1,400 meters, about 4,700 feet above sea level. Landforms of sand. Some landforms are made of sand and small bits of rock. These landforms move and are shaped by both wind and water. Landforms of sand are more easily changed than landforms of rock. A sand dune is a sand hill that is made and shaped by wind. As wind blows over a dune, the sand moves. This can change the dune's shape or even move the whole dune. Some dunes move as much as 30 meters, 100 feet a year. Like wind, water can also move sand. Water waves and currents reshape beaches, forming barrier islands and sand spits extending out into the water from the ends of many islands. Sand spits and barrier islands are long, narrow piles of sand that help protect the mainland from wave erosion. They are found all along the Atlantic coast and the Gulf of Mexico. Rivers, too, can make sand landforms. Rivers carry sand from the land they flow through. When the flow of a river slows, the sand settles. This makes a landform called a sandbar. The Pacific coast has many sandbars where rivers flow into the ocean. Focus skill. Main idea and details. What details about sand dunes make them different from hills? Instalab. Modeling landforms. Use clay to make a model of a landform in your state. Ask your classmates to try to identify the landform. Cumberland Island is a barrier island on Georgia's east coast. Sand dunes form where the wind is strong and the sand deposits are plentiful. These sand dunes are in the Oregon Dunes Recreation Area. Landforms from water. The topography of the southwestern United States is beautiful and varied. There you will find landforms such as Wright Mitten, a mesa. A mesa is a tall, flat-topped rock feature. Mesa is a Spanish word meaning table. A mesa forms as running water erodes the surrounding rock. Monument Valley in Utah is home to many mesas. Canyons are deep valleys with steep sides. They are found throughout the Southwest. The Grand Canyon in Arizona is the largest land canyon in the world. The rushing water of the Colorado River carved through many layers of rock to make this mile-deep canyon. Not all canyons are made by rivers. The landforms in Providence Canyon were formed by water runoff from nearby farms. It took thousands of years to form the Grand Canyon, but only about 200 years to form Providence Canyon. Focus skill. Main idea and details. What types of landforms in the Southwest were formed by running water? Monument Valley along the Arizona-Utah border was made by water and wind. Providence Canyon in Georgia. Canyons form wherever there is running water and land that is being uplifted. Georgia's geologic regions. The landforms of Georgia can be divided into different regions. Some geologists separate them into 4 groups, while others classify them into 5 or 6 groups. The features of the land sometimes overlap, making it difficult to classify them into one group only. However, the easiest way to separate them is to see what Earth's crust is like in each location. The northwestern corner of Georgia is known as the Valley and Ridge region. The rocks in this area have been slowly pushed and folded many times. As a result, there are many peaks and valleys to see. The Valley and Ridge region is bordered by the Appalachian Mountains in the north and the Cartersville Fault in the south. A fault is a break in Earth's crust. You will learn more about Earth's crust in Lesson 3. To the east of the Valley and Ridge region is the Blue Ridge region. The main feature in this area is the Blue Ridge Mountains. The Blue Ridge region is home to Georgia's highest point, Brasstown Bald. The Piedmont region is found in the middle of the state. The rolling hills in the Piedmont are the remains of an ancient mountain range. Some of Georgia's biggest cities, such as Athens and Atlanta, are in the Piedmont. This is also where you will find Georgia's famous red clay. The largest region in Georgia is the coastal plain. This low, flat land extends from the Piedmont to the Atlantic Ocean. The coastal plain has many rivers and a great deal of wet, marshy land. Because of the flatness and the rivers, the coastal plain is ideal for growing crops. Focus skill. Main idea and details. List one detail about each of Georgia's geologic regions that makes it unique. Kings Gap in Pine Mountain Valley is part of the Piedmont region of Georgia. Dade County is in the Ridge and Valley region. The highest mountains in Georgia can be found in the Blue Ridge region. The Okefenokee Swamp can be found in the coastal plain region.